When you consider that there are more than 24,000 high schools around the country, 24,000 high schools with different grading systems, courses offered, GPAs, et cetera, there's a need uh, for colleges to be able to compare students coming from all these different academic environments. So for many, many, many years, testing, the SAT or the ACT, has been the tool that is used to allow institutions to look at all of their candidates coming from diverse academic backgrounds in the same vein. So you take the SAT, everybody takes the same test, and we can see what the results are and compare the results that way. So in effect, the SAT and the ACT have been levelers, if you will, of the playing field when admission officers look at credentials.
If that's the case, then why have so many colleges made the submission of tests optional?
Well, they've made them optional because they've come to realize that even though the test is supposed to help level the playing field, it didn't do that. There are some inherent biases, both uh, with regard to the ethnicity of the student taking the test, the gender of the student taking the test, and frankly, the social economic background of the student taking the test that affect that playing field. So, for example, students who come from more privileged backgrounds have the opportunity to do more with test prep and will have a different kind of life experience that will put them in a position to perhaps score at a higher level on a test than a student who is just kind of walking into the test environment cold without having had any kind of preparation. So as colleges began to realize the disadvantages that many students had because of where they're coming from, they said, well, maybe we can make these decisions about whom to admit without the test. In fact, they've done validity studies every year that show that they can make good decisions about whom to admit without the test. So one by one, and now more than 1,000 colleges and universities have said, well, let's make tests, the submission of tests, optional. We know we can make good decisions about whom to admit without them. Let's do it.
So, how would you advise students who are trying to decide whether to submit test results?
If you're not quite sure whether or not to submit, here's my rule of thumb. If you're looking at a school that is test optional and your super score is at or below their average, you have no benefit in sending in the results. It doesn't help you at all. It will hurt you to send in a modest or below average score. Um, Basically, the score that can be helpful to you is one that pops, one that gets the attention of an admission office, one that is clearly above their average. So if your super score turns out to be a high score that will be a credential all in itself, then go ahead and send it, even if you don't have to. But if you're looking at a test optional school and your score is not going to pop, you have no benefit, no reason to gain by sending it in. It will hurt you. It becomes a negative bias in their eyes.